Bruce, you must have something really good too.
Of course I do. It's Bruce Danielson, and I guess I'm here to entertain you too.
Sierra Brossard, Sioux Falls. So we're going to have positive things to say tonight before the negative happens. So, as you know, John Holt with the Argus Leader, after 11 years of journalism, is leaving the Argus Leader for a different career path. John Holt, knowing him for a short period of time, is very passionate and dedicated to the community. Not too many people recognize journalists in cities like this. I got to know John a couple months ago, had lengthy conversations with him on different issues and different topics, going from court level to council meetings to everything else in God's creation here. And so he is really a good guy. It's really sad that he's gone, but I am happy for him that he has chosen a path that he wants to lead in a different career. John Holt had traveled with us on the crime ride-along with me, Pat Storr, Teresa, and he rode along with us. And it was quite interesting to see him, how he cared about the community. And at the end of the ride-along, I get a text message, and it was a happy ending for him because his wife had the 9-pound and something baby. So he was very excited about that. So we had a journey that was kind of negative that night. Because when God on the streets, it's nothing positive. I'm not going to sit here on the streets and be happy about nothing. So it was a very serious time that night and serious matters on some of these streets here. And then we had a happy ending on a journey to a new baby girl that his wife had had. So I told John that I was going to talk about him tonight. He cannot be here, but I'm sure he's watching on TV. And I just wanted to tell him and tell the people of Sioux Falls that he would be very missed and loved as a journalist. And he has very much touched everybody in a different way in his writings over the years. And also, I would like to say that he did Bruce Danielson's story, court story, when it came out. He did that court story, and he also did the Marcy's Law story a couple months back. So I was very interested in his creative thinking and his creative writing. So if everybody would call him this week, because it's his last week here, and congratulate him on his new success in life here, that would be appreciated if he hasn't contacted John. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Sierra. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody else? Welcome.
Scott Ersman, Sioux Falls. Well, there's a recent announcement about the Sioux Steel finally moving their operations out of there. I'm sure they've been talking about this for a long time. I also heard, I wasn't at the downtown Sioux Falls mayoral forum this morning, but I did talk to some people that were there, and there seemed to be this big consensus that we still need to be handing out TIFs. And in reference to the Sioux Steel property, I guess I don't really understand that. It's a very valuable piece of land. If there's any cleanup there, it'll be minimal. If they decide to sell it, they're going to get a lot of money for it. The other thing that concerns me about this TIF talk is that the Sioux Falls School District is in full swing right now to build new schools. They're proposing 3 to 4 new schools. It's going to be well over $100 million probably, a bond issue. I can guarantee it's between 100 and 150 million. And I think it's time that we put a moratorium on TIFs because they take money away from public education. Let's face it, they just do. And it's time that the developers who make a lot of money in this community and who can develop these things on their own, they don't need our corporate wealth, they don't need our welfare, can pay their fair share towards taxes and to help fund public education like the rest of us have to. We saw the equalization people come up and talk about what's fair, and they pound down these little homeowners for all to pay every last penny of their taxes, whether they got termites or siding falling off the house or whatever else. But we hand out TIFs, millions and millions of dollars worth of TIFs so they can build condominiums over here. Silly. We need to stop handing them out. If we're going to get serious about building $150 million worth of schools, it's time that everyone starts paying their fair share of property taxes in this community, and that means wealthy developers. And another thing we should do is maybe go back to the drawing board with Burlington Northern, since we gave them well over $27 million to move trains, which they haven't moved. They're still parking them. They're still switching them downtown. Maybe have another discussion with them and remind them of the $27 million we gave them, and maybe they need to start moving some of the train traffic out of downtown and switching. Obviously, that was not negotiated originally, which should have been, especially when we gave them that much money. One more thing I want to talk about is recently on a TV program, someone mentioned that about the top 10 win list we get to hear every year. Well, one of the things that was missed on the list was they thought they should have been on there was number 11 should have been having a runoff for council races. I'm going to tell you something. That is probably one of the worst decisions I've ever seen the city council in Sioux Falls ever make. It harms people who are running for office, and we're lucky we're only going to have one runoff in the council race in this election. That just turned out to be that way. But it was one of the worst decisions I'd ever seen, and I hope the next council overturns that almost immediately. I hope that is the first thing, one of the first things on their agenda, to take that and overturn such a terrible decision, and to put that in a list to say that that was a great thing is complete baloney. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Really appreciate it. Anybody else? Welcome.
Hello, Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the council, and the public at large. My name is Bob Trzynka. I've lived here in Sioux Falls for about 15 years, or longer than that, actually. I moved here in 2001. I'm here to talk a little bit about the noise ordinance issue that we heard about last week. Full disclosure, I do have a financial interest in Icon. I've also lived in the McKinnon Park area since 2001. I work downtown. I'm a lawyer here, and so I have, some insight that I'd like to share with the council. We heard a lot of testimony last week regarding the noise ordinance, Icon in particular, and the 421 Jones building. And one of the things that I want to talk about is that even though I do have a financial interest in Icon, this isn't about Icon. It really shouldn't be about Icon. It's not about the Jones building. It shouldn't be just about the Jones building. It should be about what we want to do as a city to allow a community to expand its downtown, to create better opportunities for people to come to downtown, to create reasons that people want to come downtown, and then also to balance the expectations of businesses with the expectations of reasonable development in the downtown area. The one thing that I want to talk about in particular is there were citations to other cities and towns, and there was some reference as to the experience in Denver. One of the things that I do want to bring up, and what wasn't mentioned at the last meeting, is that Denver is actually having a huge problem balancing the needs of its ordinances regarding noise and nuisance with the expansion of the community. In fact, it's a hotly litigated issue in the Denver community right now. And increasingly, it's something that's been litigated all over this country, and something that a lot of cities have taken the opportunity to maybe be a little bit more proactive in balancing the needs of fostering a vibrant downtown, also with the needs of people to develop and have residential spaces downtown. And that's why I took a little bit of time and researched into what's an organization called the Responsible Hospitality Institute. That's an organization that works with various municipalities all over the country. I recently had the opportunity to look through some literature that the town of Pleasanton, California had issued, that it had worked and developed ordinances to help really develop and foster a hospitality district in the Pleasanton, California community, which I really think is something that we should look at here in Sioux Falls for the downtown district. And because let's think about it. When we're looking at downtowns, retail driving, downtown business is the past. We can see that just by looking at big box stores all over this country. They're increasingly being supplanted by online sales and other issues and other online retailers. And so what is it that drives downtown communities? The research increasingly indicates that you have to have some sort of entertainment draw to bring people into the downtown neighborhoods. And then you have to that then causes people to shop in these retail environments. They come downtown for the entertainment, they spend their money in retail, they stay and they use the restaurants, and that all drives tax dollars to the larger municipality. But we have to balance, because when you have entertainment, there's going to be noise, there's going to be the potential for crime, and so we have to balance those things. And so there are 6 guidelines that I would suggest that the city really look at when they're evaluating what to do with the downtown area. First is public safety. Second, music and entertainment. Third, multi-use sidewalks. Fourth, transportation. Fifth, venue safety and security. And I think we've started to address these issues and address them in a positive way. I'd like to focus in a little bit on the music and entertainment because obviously I have a very limited amount of time. In Pleasanton, there's a recognition, and in Sioux Falls, the ordinance is written in an interesting sort of way, in that it is universal for the entire town, in that the way that we evaluate sound in the quiet neighborhood of Tut Hill is the same way that we evaluate it right on the overpass as you come off into downtown from East Sioux Falls. And interestingly, and as I've worked with as we've worked with the Department of Health for ICON and the sound issues that we've had there, we've really actually realized that the ambient noise for the majority, almost the entire day, in the downtown area is close to 60 decibels. Meaning that if ICON made 0 noise, in theory, just because we're downtown, we're outside the noise ordinance stand. We're outside the noise ordinance.
Bob?
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, thank
Appreciate it. You bet. Have a great night. Thank you. Folks, anybody else? Welcome.
Point of order, Mr. Chair. I would like to ask for him to be able to continue.
Okay. Council Chair, I'll defer to you.
I think that the counselor needs to present it in a different fashion.
Well, then I would, well, are you making a ruling?
No.
I would like to get a litI more information from this man.
Make a motion.
Then make a motion.
I move that we allow this man to continue.
Second, Erickson.
Do I have to, all those in favor say aye.
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 Very good. Bob, no, thank you, Councilor, appreciate it. Bob, continue, please.
Certainly.
Bob, are you speaking on behalf of the whole group? Is that what you're doing?
I'm just speaking on behalf of myself.
Okay. Folks, the rule is determined by the council, not me, was a 5-minute rule. So what the council just did is they're allowing more time for Bob. But Bob, for the rest, I would encourage you to, if you can, keep your comments to 5 minutes or less. And Bob, I think you could have with a bit more organization, but go right ahead, sir.
Certainly. I'll keep it short.
Thank you.
Currently, we use the L90 standard when we're evaluating it. The problem that we've run into is that ICON was certified last Friday to comply with the L90 standard for the 55 decibels. Within an hour or two of being certified by the health department, there had been a complaint to the police that we were outside of it. The police then measured using a non-L90 standard and said that we were out of compliance. So I think one of the things that we need to do is first make sure that we have consistent policing and consistent evaluation. Second, when it regards to guidelines, the Pleasanton community has adopted certain guidelines, which I'd be happy to share. They're freely available online. And that they measure it under this standard at the business property line, and that Sunday through Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m., it's less than 74 decibels. And that's also from Thursday to Saturday from 8 a.m. to 11 p.m. And then after 10 p.m., it has to be less than 70 decibels. Now, that's for areas that are zoned commercial and commercial or mixed use. Residential, then, are measured at similar standards to what are in Sioux Falls, which is 60 decibels. What I would ask and what I would ask the city to consider is 2 items. Number 1, to make sure that the city consistently enforces the noise ordinance. And number 2, reevaluating how we look at the noise ordinance from the standpoint of making sure that we have a noise ordinance that doesn't, that accounts for that we have a business that may have been there for some time, that there's some sort of reasonable expectation for a business to plan what can come, so that a residential building isn't built right next door, and all of a sudden you go from 65 decibels to overnight having to be at 55 decibels. And so I would encourage the city to look at the Pleasanton experience and to evaluate using those standards. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody? Folks, this is a city council meeting. We just ask you to refrain from that. Certainly welcome to listen to the input, and we're very interested in that. But please, no more outbursts. Thank you. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. My name is Thor Bardon, resident here in Sioux Falls. First thing, I definitely want to thank the gentleman just before me for providing all the input that he felt was necessary. I also thank the council for allowing that extension. I'm actually just a little bit upset right now that somebody sitting in front of me would accuse somebody whose profession actually revolves to being around organization and then accusing them of not being organized. That's very disrespectful.
Thor,
with regards,
sorry if you don't mind, folks, the time limit wasn't set by me. It's set by the council. My job is to moderate this and to follow the rules as set by the council. Okay?
My issue is not the time limit. It's simply the criticism that was provided. With regards to the noise ordinance, first, I think we definitely need to acknowledge Icon Lounge's efforts to get within the noise ordinance that we had set forth. I applaud them in how quickly they responded, how responsive they were to the public and wanting to work this out. I think that definitely deserves recognition for what it is. But I think it also, just as many people have stated, it points to a bigger issue. We're growing. We need to figure out what we're going to do with downtown. You just heard the decibel levels, of ambient noise during the daytime. Perhaps we should be considering something that is, specifically for downtown if we're going to have it as an entertainment district. One of the things that frustrates me about this being an issue to begin with is the location of these apartments. You see, when I bought my house, I bought a house that's roughly 2 houses away from a railroad track. Now with this here, this means that I live next to trains that are blowing their horns because I'm close to an intersection. I hear rail cars that are coming down that are shaking my house, the windows rattle and everything like that. And, unfortunately, this is something that I knew when I bought my house. Something else should definitely be acknowledged that, we have an apartment building that came after the fact of Icon. You cannot move to an area and then expect to not hear noise coming from a bar that's in the neighborhood. I think it should also be pointed out that, when you do, it's not polite to come in and say, well, I live here, now you have to change. And so we need to see some consideration going there as well, that maybe these residential units should have a little bit more soundproofing as well, especially if we're going to be building next to a thriving entertainment district that is becoming Sioux Falls downtown. With that, that's all that I have to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Thor. Appreciate it. Welcome.
Tim Stanga. I just wanted to let everybody know that the last meeting that we had, there was a lot of good input out there, and I want to thank Mr. Kiley on how he ran that meeting. He respected the people that came up here. He gave them the time to speak, and the people that were in the audience, they weren't afraid to come up here and speak because they felt like they were at home. And I really do appreciate how you ran the meeting last week because it was presented as a professional. I thank the people that came back for the second week in a row because it's time that the people, they start standing up for what the city is really for. It's for the people. It's not to come and make regulations or try to tell people how to do things. It's how to be able to stand up and hear your voice. And I really appreciate you guys coming in. I too am like Scott. Why did we change how we elect city council members? There's a big reason why. It's because normal people don't have the money to run on. They don't have $10,000 to spend, $8,000 to spend. You can shake your head all you want. That's the good part about it is because you're gone. But I guess the thing is, what I'm looking at, normal people cannot run because we don't have a name and we don't have money behind us. And we don't have people that are going to give us money to be able to buy votes. We need people that are going to be on the city council, that are going to be here for the citizens of Sioux Falls and not for the special interests. And when you come into a runoff, and I don't care, you guys can shake your head all you want, but when it comes into a runoff, anybody like Greg, Teresa, Pat, they're not going to be able to have the money to run on because it comes to more money.
Thanks, Tim. Thanks, Tim. Folks, anybody else? Welcome.
Mike Gunn. Obviously, you know I'm running for office. I'm also here for the decibel thing down in the downtown area, but I'm here for another reason, and that is that, you know, I think the citizens are getting tired of hearing that the trains left the station. It's already been voted on. It's a done deal, because I think the citizens are never going to forget that you didn't listen to them before you made them votes. And if certain people get into office, I believe that the train that left the station is going to be recalled. Just wanted to let you know that.
Welcome.
What happened to Jim? Usually it takes care of a PowerPoint. There we go. Greetings. I'm David Zokaites, and I'm going to talk about construction for a little while because we love to build stuff in Sioux Falls. Looks to me like the city of Sioux Falls has a pronounced pro-developer bias. Now, if you think about expensive elections, you pretty much expect this to happen. If it costs 200 grand to get elected for the office of mayor, there's got to be some payback, because people that donate that kind of money don't donate that kind of money. They make an investment. And indeed, I did hear that term coming out of one of the mayoral candidates, his investors. So maybe they're investing in a campaign and expect a return on their investment. Okay, so in the city of Sioux Falls, we use a number of private public partnerships. These are cases in which the city and the builder get together to share costs, and then the builder owns a completed project. Now, this makes sense if you have a blighted area that needs some extra help, but it's really good to use public bids in this process to make sure that nobody's getting too good of a deal. Unfortunately, in Sioux Falls, the process is secret, making it look suspect. We also use tax increment financing in Sioux Falls. This is a public-private partnership in which builders get to avoid property taxes for 15 years, 20 years, a long time. We've got 14 active districts in Sioux Falls. Now, this is another way to pay for urban renewal and blight removal. But again, you know, it's okay if it's public, competitive bid, but if you do it secretly, it doesn't look good. All right, now, you got to think about some of the mechanisms going on behind these public-private partnerships. In South Dakota, we use regressive taxation in which poor people pay a higher percentage of their income in taxes and fees than do rich people. So there's that income disparity business. So these partnerships take tax money that's paid disproportionately by poor people and give it to rich companies. So you're doing some income redistribution the wrong direction. But most people don't know that because they don't think hard enough. During a city council meeting regarding some downtown construction regulations, I heard a comment about like this. They had scale requirements way back due to developer resistance. Looks like developers have too much input. And there's a city planning commission that unanimously approves everything. It looks suspicious. All right, so we're talking about apparent pro-developer biases, and here's all these cases in point. Now, let's look at the administration building that was approved late 2016. The citizen petition that wanted to put this up for a vote, that was ignored. That's to the benefit of the developers. Look at the multi-use parking ramp. A lot of money going on in this thing. We should have built a big ramp for $10 million instead we're building a smaller ramp for $21 million. It's all done in secret. Looks like a biased decision to me. Oh, and check out that new mansion in the McKenna Park area. Too big, too close, wrong style. City approved it, court struck it down. Looks like a biased decision. Oh, and the agricultural land at 6th and Bonson was rezoned in spite of heavy community opposition. Good for builders. Oh, and you got to check out these apartments on 14th Street. They are so out of character with the neighbor. Here's what was there before. You got some space, it's brick, looks kind of nice. Here it's smashed up right next to the curb. It looks like it's got cheap corrugated siding on it. Looks out of character. Oh, and let's talk about the Icon Lounge. They had concerts there for years. We approved a new building right next door, and now concerts aren't cool there. The real issue is getting back to expensive elections, and you got to work for who pays for your election. Not a good strategy. And as always, we should enjoy nature and the world around us. And here's a shot going down the street, and pretty soon winter will be over, so you better enjoy it while you can. And with that, I bid everybody a good evening.
Folks, welcome.
Bruce Daniels in Sioux Falls. First, I sent an email to all the council members, and I just want to reiterate what I said in the email that I sent last week. Was in all the years I've been coming to city council meetings, that is one of the best city council meetings I could have ever imagined. All of you sitting up here that were part of this meeting did a phenomenal job sitting through, paying attention to 28 different people that got up and talked. It was pretty amazing, and I hold you all high, and thank you, Chair Kiley, for doing such a great job. This afternoon, I came in to the public services meeting, and I found it absolutely fascinating to have the discussion, to have all the personalities involved that were there. The sheriff was there. And then we ended up hearing about the triage center. And the triage center is something that I have been very fascinated with since I attended a meeting down at the Hy-Vee last year, and I recorded it, put it up on the website. And I've been trying to talk it up, try to get people involved in it and understand what this thing's all about. This is going to be a fantastic addition to this community, and I'd like to hear more publicity about it and more discussion about it. And then as I'm trying to drum up a little more interest in it just in the last few days, I went to Minneapolis this weekend, and I got to experience a 911 service call that just blew my mind. I was at an event, a couple hundred people there. I was walking down a corridor. A woman, 70 years old, collapsed in front of me. I've had 50-some years experience with seizures and helping people who drop in front of me. And I immediately dropped down, helped this woman. Immediately then another woman came down. She starts helping. Another person came over and she started helping on this. They're introducing each other. I'm Dr. So-and-so. I'm a nurse, and they asked me who I was, and I just said I'm a computer programmer. I called immediately. I asked the event coordinator to call 911. And the reason I'm bringing this up is in that short period of time that everybody's getting together, I asked for ice for this woman's head and for the hematoma that was happening. And in about 3 minutes, we had full ambulance service there. We had the paramedics, the fire department. They were ready to carry this woman out of there, and they weren't anywhere around. This was not a big enough event to have medical personnel. The reason I'm bringing this up is we've got a need for a triage center. We have a need for a city-owned fire department-run ambulance service. I've been harping on this for quite a while. I got to see how one worked, and it was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Bruce. Anybody else? Welcome.
Hello, Mayor, Council. My name is Jim Guisler.
Hi, Jim.
On the City of Sioux Falls' City Council website, the vision that the city has come up with states the City of Sioux Falls will be a vibrant, attractive, and safe city recognized as a model community, which takes pride in its history, diversity, and environment. It also promotes downtown as a community focal point, provides visionary and creative governmental leadership, is an economic center for Minnehaha and Lincoln County, promotes an excellent business environment, value its public employees, and recognizes their achievements. What I want to point out is the City Council has said that it promotes downtown as a community focal point, which includes not only the 421 Jones building, the Lucky's Bar, Wiley's, and the Washington Pavilion down here as well. We've been talking about the noise decibels. Residential from 6 a.m. to 10:30 is 60 decibels. 10:30 to 6 a.m. is 55. And we heard from the gentleman that the ambient noise down here exceeds those alone. They're more in line with the commercial decibels. Now, for those that may or may not know, there is, according to the ordinance, Title 9, Chapter 93, a permit that you can apply for relief from the noise restrictions for activity, and that shall be gone through to the health director or his or her designed agent. Permits may be issued for activity conducted between 6 a.m. and 10:30. Permit shall allow the permitted sound pressure level to be no more than an L90 or 70 decibels, which right there already exceeds commercial. So we're saying that if you apply and pay a fee, we're going to look the other way as far as the ordinances go. The permit shall allow sound pressure no more than 65 and up until 10:30. Otherwise, it can go. Now, permits may be issued in the Main Street Sioux Falls Business Improvement District for the purpose of music and entertainment. So we have the soon to be going in amphitheater on the Meadows. We've got the when we have the bands and sidewalk downtown along the riverbanks. That's all music and entertainment, along with Icon wanting to have their bands. Now, the Main Street Sioux Falls Business Improvement District is for all of downtown. Icon falls within that. The hours of 6:30 and 10:30, except Friday and Saturday nights, may be permitted to be granted from 6 a.m. to 11:30. These permits shall allow the permitted sound pressure level to be no more than the 70 decibels. So we're saying, so basically the downtown area is getting oh, you're downtown? That's fine. You can get a special permit, pay the money, unlike other areas, have to be done at 10:30, which to me is not fair at all. The application for the sound level permit can be found on the Sioux Falls Health Department website area. Main Street Sioux Falls is different than any other area of the city. The question begs to differ. Why is downtown sometimes different than other areas of the city where other outdoor parks or visions may want to have music? So, and if Icon would like to apply for this, I don't understand why we say we have to pay a fee if we're already going to look at, I would ask the council to look at maybe making it 65 since the ambient noise is already 65. Thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody else? Item 8.
Item 8 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, declaring certain real property of the city surplus and approving offer to purchase.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Don Kearney with Parks and Rec.
Evening, Don.
Thank you. This agenda item and the next agenda item are both related to the sale of the former East Side Fire Station and library located on city property adjacent to Heritage Park. This specific agenda item would declare the property located at 600 East 7th Street surplus and approve the offer to purchase with Bedrock Development LLC. The members of this LLC include Todd and Sarah Stone and Jason and Jennifer Erickson. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have.
Folks, this is a second reading, so you have the opportunity to engage the council on this topic. Anybody interested? Council?
I'll move approval.
Second, Neitzer.
Councilor Counselor, you made the motion to approve. Thank you. And Councilor Neitzer, you seconded. Thank you. Any discussion? Yes, Councilor Erickson.
Thank you. I've said it every week. I'm just making it known that our last name is the same, and no one in my family has a financial interest in this property whatsoever. It just happens to be we share the same last name spelled the same way. Thank you.
Thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley? Yes. Erickson?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Item 9.
Item 9 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, authorizing the mayor to enter into a development agreement between the City of Sioux Falls and Bedrock Development LLC, along with other documents, amendments, or other instruments as may be deemed necessary and appropriate consistent with the development agreement.
Again, good evening. Don Kearney with Parks and Rec. Again, this item is related to that Heritage Park building. Just a few key points in the terms and conditions of this development agreement include the purchase price of $211,500, which meets the state law requirement of 90% of the appraised value. The design of the building renovations must comply with the renderings attached to the agreement. The development must be complete within 18 months of the effective date, and construction must commence by July 1st of 2018. As a reminder, this property is zoned live work, and it will become ultimately the offices of Stone Group Architects. Finally, Bedrock Development intends to seek National Historic Register designation for the building. And I would just like to also close and thank Bedrock Development for what I think is a really great proposal that will really work great for the neighborhood. And also like to thank the various city departments that assisted with this project. And as you know, many of the projects involve multiple city departments, so appreciate their efforts as well. Glad to take any questions.
Thanks, Don. Folks, anybody in the audience want to speak to this particular item? Council?
Move to approve.
There's been a motion to approve, has been seconded. Councilor Starr.
Yes. Director, I guess I'm curious why we felt that 90% below, 10% below market value was the appropriate price to sell this piece of property.
Yeah, certainly the state law requires that it be 90%. The condition of the building is one that's going to take a significant investment in order to rehab, and so we took that in consideration as one of the rationales for thinking that the 90% was acceptable.
I guess my question then is shouldn't, if it's appraised, that takes into consideration what the condition the building's in, doesn't it? Or is it over, if it's been appraised at a value, that's the value of the building in the condition that it's in. I mean, we spent this afternoon talking about that, in different buildings and stuff. So I guess I understand the philosophy. I'm just concerned that we'd be giving away the city or the taxpayers' money by not getting a fair value for the building.
I think if you take into consideration the cost that the city would be experienced associated with maintaining and keeping an existing 100-year-old building, it would far outweigh any of the 10% of the difference between the appraised value and what we're actually getting in the actual purchase price.
Thank you.
You bet.
Thank you both. There has been a motion to approve. It has been seconded. A good discussion. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you. Item 10.
Item 10 is a resolution vacating a portion of the 66-foot section line right-of-way north and south of the east-west 1/4 line of sections 2 and 3, Township 101 North, Range 49 west of the 5th PM, Minnehaha County, South Dakota.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Kurt Pepple, Public Works Engineering. Items 10 and 11 are related. They are two right-of-way vacations in the Wexford addition, which is just southeast of the Benson Road and I-229 interchange. Item 10 is an old section line right-of-way that they are looking to vacate to help with redevelopment of this area. Petition was prepared and submitted per state law and complies with the street vacation policy. Neighborhood meeting was not required for this. It is an unimproved section of right-of-way. If the vacation is approved, an easement will not be reserved for public or private utilities. Engineering supports the vacation.
Kurt, thank you. Folks, it's a resolution. You can speak to this item if you want. Anybody interested? Very good. Councilors?
Move to approve Erickson.
Second. Councilor Vice Chair Erickson has made a motion to approve this resolution, seconded by Council Chair Kiley. If no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Kurt, 11.
Item number 11.
1 second.
A resolution vacating the East 34th Street North right-of-way from the west right-of-way line of North Bonson Avenue to the west, a distance of 1,037.90 feet.
Thank you, Kurt.
Like I said, number 11 is in the same vicinity. The petition for this right-of-way vacation was submitted per state law, complies with the city street vacation policy. A neighborhood meeting was not required. If approved, an easement will not be retained for public and private utilities. This right-of-way is no longer needed due to the realignment of North Bonson Avenue. Engineering supports the vacation.
Kurt, thanks. Folks, once again, resolution you can speak to. Anybody interested? Councilors?
Move approval, Rolfing. Second, Selberg.
Councilor Rolfing's made a motion to approve this resolution, seconded by Councilor Selberg. Thank you both. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Thank you, Council. That has passed 7-0. Item 12.
Item 12 is a resolution abating the front foot assessment for street maintenance fees at parcel number 280.50.08.3031, 5900 South Sycamore Avenue.
Good evening, Mayor, Council. Galen Huber, Street Manager for the Department of Public Works. The City of Sioux Falls has approximately 60,000 parcels that fall within the city's limits that we take a look at this year. We had 1,600 additional parcels that we had that were added in or platted into the city, and they have to meet. And we take my division takes a look at these 1,600 properties to see if they meet the criteria to be assessed for front foot assessment. This parcel is annexed into the city of Sioux Falls, but the street that it abuts against is a gravel road that's maintained by Springdale Township, so it doesn't meet that criteria. We do not maintain it, so it needs to be removed from the roll.
Very good. Thank you, Galen. Appreciate it. Folks, anybody want to speak to this item? Councilors?
Move to approve Erickson.
Second.
Council Vice Chair Erickson made that motion to approve this resolution, seconded by Council Chair Kiley. Thank you. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
That has passed 7-0. Thank you, Council. Item 13.
Item 13 is a resolution abating the front foot assessment for street maintenance fees at parcel number 280.50.08.3040, 5100 East 69th Street.
Galen Huber, Street Manager. This parcel butts right beside this property and is on butts against the same gravel road maintained by Springdale.
Thanks, Galen. Folks, anybody in the audience want to speak to this item? Very good. Councilors?
Move to approve, Nitzert.
Thank you, Councilor Nitzert.
Second, Rolfing.
Councilor Rolfing, thanks for seconding it. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
Council, that has passed 7-0. Thank you. Item 14.
Item 14 is a resolution abating the front foot assessment for street maintenance fees at parcel number 280.50.08.3041, 5400 East 69th Street.
Galen Huber, Street Manager. This is the third property that abuts beside it, that abuts against this gravel road.
Galen, thank you, folks. I do have to ask you, does anybody want to speak to this item? Didn't think so. Council.
Move to approve.
Second, Erickson.
Thank you, councilors. Appreciate that. A roll call vote, please.
Council members Kiley?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Rolfing?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Erickson?
Yes.
That's it. That has passed 7-0. Thank you, councilors. Is there any other business? Wait a minute. There's been a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Has been seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This meeting is adjourned. Sioux Falls. Make it a great, great night.
You know, that I don't think it's a secret that people know I'd love to be your mayor forever.
We don't come up here to entertain you. We come up here to inform you.
What kind of morons run this outfit?